Hey everyone, this is Ben Cecchini, founder of Give and Grow, here with another episode of the Give and Grow podcast. If you're new to this series, this is our social emotional learning series. We bring on experts and counselors and psychologists, everybody who is passionate and knowledgeable around mental health and around helping just kids, teens be healthy, loving human beings. So today I'm super excited to introduce you guys to the co-founders of Forget the Rankings. We're going to dive into everything that means. This is Jen Vallieres and Jared Epler. Thank you guys so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. So you guys mentioned to me, what is the story behind Forget the Rankings and what is Forget the Rankings?
Yeah, so Jen and I are public high school counselors by day, and we run Forget the Rankings as our little side hustle. But it was really born from supporting students to think about what life after high school looks like. And something that we have both noticed very strongly is that teens feel a lot of pressure to go to a certain type or name of school. Like often they're thinking about top 50, Ivy League. We talk about these hyper prestigious universities, and families think that that's like the epitome of success. And it was born in a moment that Jen came down to my office and was, her 10th college meeting that week talking about life after high school, and said, what if there was a tool that we could talk about values instead of prestige? And from there, this really great tactile card sorting activity was born with QR codes on the back that leads to these curated college lists that are not focused on who has a 1500 on the SAT and a 4.0, but focused on you love adventure. We have 15 colleges that also embrace adventure. You love, I'm trying to think of
activism, environmentalism, spirituality, wellness.
Yeah. Things that are like core to who you are as a human being, and helping introduce students to schools that embrace those same things to say you would most likely thrive at a place like this because this connects more deeply with who you are as a person. So the idea is, could we take out this like academic pressure cooker of an environment and let it be about joy and self-discovery and growth, and find alignment in a place that also champions the same values that you do?
It starts the conversation from a different point instead of like, where do you want to go or what do you want to study, which is where so many counselors start. We're changing the script into like, hey, who are you and what do you value? And let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Like I'm getting chills as you guys are introducing it, like flashbacks to like high school and like where do you even start? Like start with who are you? What do you value? I absolutely love that. Like what have been some of the experiences that you've had with students, like taking them through this process? Like I'm sure it's been like really cool.
That's like our favorite question ever. Yeah, so it's been exceptional. It's been everything from, well, let me back up for a second and explain to you a little bit about how we implement it, because I think that's important for you to know. So it's a card sorting activity, right, to start. And so very purposefully, we give the student one deck and the parent, guardian, whoever's in the same deck, but a separate one, but same cards. And they sort separately from each other. And we always make the student share first, so that the parents, have to take kind of a back seat to who their kid is and let the student really shine and saying what they value the most. And so the conversations that have come out of watching a student speak up for themselves and watching the parents say like, how did I know my kid in this context, has been amazing. You want to share some examples?
Yeah, just to be able to start from that place of, a parent maybe in the moment realizing, I didn't know that you valued environmentalism so much. Or like really great moments where we have parents who like, we make them pick 5 values, and when they go 5 for 5, like they pick the same ones. Families are like, yeah, like we really know you. But it's also just as beautiful when they're not super aligned. And there's a lot of times where we have had families leave that conversation saying like, we have so much to talk about tonight over dinner, about these things I didn't know you were that passionate about that, or what would it look like to be at a place that champions activism or wellness or whatever it might be. It's just so it brings us a lot of joy to watch connections deepen in a room between, again, it might be student and parent, it might be student and whoever their trusted adult is, it could be a grandparent, it could be an older sibling. It's just taking something that I think could often be combative, right, and really changing it. And people are leaving like excited and connected.
Feeling like it was a gift is like what a lot of people are coming back saying. The student, in a way, saying like, "Oh, I got a chance to like really use my voice in this meeting," which I wasn't anticipating because, mom, dad, whomever might be a bit wound up about the college process because it's stressful, and parents too. But also for parents, there's been a lot of phone calls afterwards that have been like, do you know what it feels like to have a 17-year-old and learn something new about them that's at their core? As a mom, that was incredible for me and not what I was expecting today, and a lot of thank yous around that. So it changes the conversation to just like being about the college search to being really, who is this person sitting in front of me as your counselor for your parents? And then let's move you along that path on whichever way you want to go. So everything's all your decisions are made more purposefully.
Absolutely, like so beautiful. I love that it's building an opportunity for connection, almost through like a little bit of like a play-based activity. Like I'm curious to know about like the cards and the sorting, but just to continue to acknowledge, like it seems to really take the pressure off and just like free space for sharing, connection. Yeah, those are the main things that are coming to mind for me. But yeah, I'm definitely curious about the card sorting. Like what you've listed off a few things, but how does that process go?
Well, it's very intentional that we made it a tactile physical card deck because so many people have said to us, why not make it an app? And we very intentionally designed it to be connecting so that your face is not in a screen. You get to hold and feel the cards, they fit in your hands, and the act of actually sorting them is really important to the process. So it actually exists in two parts. Part one is very similar to the conversations we all probably had about life after high school. How far from home do you want to be? Size of campus, majors, things of that nature. And then part two is the 26 value. So there's the value on the front, and on the back is a description of what that could look like in action on a college campus. The really cool part is when you then get to the website, let's say you pick activism, up pops 15 schools. When you click on each school, all of those white cards, the first part, come back. So now I can go back to my first pile and say, distance from home was really important. I click the white card. It will show me the Google Maps to my house from this school and how far away that is. It will link me to their majors. It will give me financial information for my family. If I'm a first generation or student from a low income family, it will point me directly to resources to make sure that this is affordable for my family and supportive. So it's linking those kind of more, I don't want to use the word basic, but more preliminary conversations about criteria than with this really important piece about values. And the feedback we always get is that people love the like tactile piece of being able to sort through the cards and to do it in tandem, right? And then to be able to share with each other. So we're really firm in making sure that like people have that tactile experience.
Yeah, and then the really cool thing about the website, there's other components to it too. One of them is a search feature. So let's say you were someone who picked activism and environmentalism. You can go into our search feature, put in sort of the more basic information about, well, I want to be in this geographical area. I want the school to be this size, but here are the 5 values that I'm also interested in, and it'll pull that. And there are some schools that are cross-listed. So you'll start to see like, oh, this school hits 2 values and I'm interested in both of them. So that might be a really good spot for me. And so I think that's a real shining point. And then the other one that I think is really important for people to know about too is we purposefully kept our database of schools on the smaller side because we don't want it to feel overwhelming to people. And there is a resource there that's open for everyone who's subscribed that is like, if you value, what's another one we could pick?
Great food.
Great food. Yeah. Here are 15 or so questions that you can take with you if you value great food when you're looking at schools, you're on a tour, you're on their website, whatever, to really dive deeper to figure out if this college, even if they're not on our list, truly does value great food. And we have those questions available for every value.
That makes a ton of sense. And I love that you're, once again, just empowering people to like, with the tools they need to go into these schools and conversations equipped with something that's going to help them out, a kind of pathway forward, a little roadmap, if you will.
Okay, we have to tell you why we're laughing when you just said that, because this is hilarious. There's another piece to our website that's called Pathways Forward. that we just finished. So that's why we're laughing as you say it. We also recognize that like not everyone will choose to go to college, and that is completely okay. We need to normalize that. So we've created a separate like arm of what we do that is another values card sort, but it leads to direct to workforce jobs, 2-year programs, and trade technical and certificate programs, because we often meet with students who say, I have this career goal that doesn't involve college. They too should be allowed to have conversations about values and discover pathways forward
Right.
that might not be college that also connect with those values. There's really great interactive workbooks. And the coolest thing about it, you do the same card sort. Let's say you pick being an animal lover. When you go to our website, we have 15 different jobs that involve being an animal lover. When you click on them, it takes you right to a web search on Indeed of all of the jobs that also would focus on loving animals, and you can put in your zip code. So very dynamic to help. It doesn't matter who you are or what your path after high school is. We have a solution to help you find something connected to your values.
So powerful. I mean, honestly, you guys got to go find Jen and Jared apparently if you're in this transitionary stage, because truly it seems like you guys have like obviously put a lot of time and energy and effort into setting up so many different resources for people at this stage of life. Like if somebody might not be able to connect with you in Philadelphia or a surrounding area, right? What have been some of your approaches with working with some of those people, knowing that some listeners might be in Washington or something like that?
Yeah, so I mean, Forget the Rankings is all over the country. It's a subscription. So you would go onto our website, you would go to our store, and you could pick the subscription that best fits you, whether you're a student and family or if you're an educator. Yeah, and so we mail you the deck, and you're able to go through this process on your own as well. We provide all sorts of coaching on the website if you are not doing it through your school counselor on how you can do it as a family, to walk you through every step of the process. And then there's just so many more resources on the website for counselors, but also for students and families that really walk you through the whole process of the college search from the very beginning all the way through life after college and how to continue down your pathway rooted in values.
Yeah, and everything's connected to values. We have videos, we have workbooks. And the other piece that was really important to us is that it's super accessible. So to get the card decks you would use in the meeting as a school counselor, all the search engines and everything, it's $9.99 a month. This is not some multi-thousand-dollar. We want this in the hands of counselors to be able to get it. And that's how we've been able to get into 52 different schools so far. So as much as we're doing that work here, we wanted to create a tool for people to have these conversations outside of just our school or our geographic area. We want this to be used all over the world. That's what really cool. Be everywhere, because again, it's the power of the conversation and the self-reflection and the self-learning that is just so important. And again, a lot of tools on our website so that counselors, people who help young people, you don't have to be a school counselor, right? Anyone who's supporting young people, we give you the tools to be able to navigate these conversations and everything you need.
Right. I love it. I mean, you're empowering another counselor somewhere else right now. You're empowering a parent right now to have these conversations in kind of more of a fun way. And yeah, it just makes all the sense in the world. Like, have you ever had an experience where, you know, somebody had, I don't know. Well, this is what I'm trying to ask. Have you had these kids go to college and come back and be like, this really like, it really hit the nail on the head. Like they really have all these values that, they they said they did, or that your platform said they did.
Yeah, we're still so fresh and new. We're about a year into the platform being like out there for people to use. So we're watching our first graduating class
Yes.
using it, but make choices based on that. So we are definitely seeing students come back and say, I never ever thought of that school, but because the entry point was for me to read about a school that had this very specific program connected to what I love, I've opened myself up to it, and they are discovering even more about how that school fits their values. So we are seeing shifts in the way that students build their college list. Many of them are now including schools that they would have overlooked because maybe it didn't have, like, we call them sweatshirt schools, right? The names that everybody knows,
Right.
they maybe never heard of it. And that's been really helpful in just, again, exposing students to opportunities outside of that they already know.
And I think like a big piece of this for me is seeing the students that we work with get very anxious about who they are, thinking who they are is rooted in the number of activities or the right activities, the right jobs, the right grades. Um, it's like their whole identity, which isn't true, right? Like we know that as adults, that you're so much more as a person. So using this in schools, or if you're a family, shifts that narrative to like, no, that's not who you are, is what you value and how you live your life and the little decisions that you make
Mhm.
every day that, show who you are as a human.
Yeah.
So shifting that, I think, has been really important, and seeing students' stress and anxiety come down, maybe realigning themselves with what they're going to do in high school so that their choices in activities, their choices in classes, their choices in if they know what they want to major in makes a bit more sense, as opposed to just doing the grind for doing the grind, race to nowhere of just,
Mhm.
getting that sweatshirt school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate the just that space once again to like for self-reflection. It just seems like such a cool and safe process to be able to really reconnect with what's really important to you, what how you do want to move forward, how you do want to make choices moving forward for your future. In those experiences with the kids that are may have pressure, internal pressure or pressure from the family, um, how do you feel, or what do you think can really like support those kids aside from the forget the rankings, the cards, and the program that you guys have going on?
There's a lot of
There's
pieces to that.
I
Go
do
ahead.
I do think the cards in a lot of way actually still support those kids. So let me give you a few examples. Sometimes we'll have a kid come in who says like, I hear you on all this, but I really want to go to this school in particular. And what we're asking of those students who are, I think, aligned with what you're asking us to answer is like, you need to dive into how come beyond the name, beyond the reputation. And if you want to go to whatever highly, selective school, but it's rooted in a really good reason beyond the name, then you have something there.
Mhm.
So it allows space for students who might have that be their dream for whatever the reason may be, but to attach it to something more meaningful and to force them to really dig deep and think about why. I mean, Ben, we have a prestige card. It is a value.
Right.
We want to spill the beans on
Yeah.
what kind of okay. It doesn't link to a list of schools though. Okay. So I've had families pull that card and students. And
Mhm.
it facilitates a really great discussion on tell me more about this. What
Mhm.
is it about prestige? Where do you think it's gonna get you? What does it mean to you? And now it's like we're acknowledging the elephant in the room that
Mhm.
school counselors with this type of student family have been dealing with for I'm gonna take back dealing with, have been working with
Yeah.
for a long time. Like, let's talk about it if that's important to you
Yeah.
and move forward.
And I think it's so much more than just the card sort and the website. Jen and I talk all the time, like this is a movement for happier, healthier kids, right? And
Mhm.
that means so many different things. It's talking with parents to help them understand, like, what is your own, we say baggage that you bring to the table? What's your own like educational trauma
Yeah.
that you have? Or are you putting your own, the expectations that were placed on you onto your own child? Are you
Mhm.
trying to have them fulfill a dream that you weren't able to fully live? So we do a lot of work in talking about things that I think people often overlook. And the other thing is just like, how are we putting out the message? So like, it's down to like posters in counselors' offices that say, you are worth so much more than an acceptance letter. It's like my hoodie, right? Your potential can't be ranked. We're just
Mhm.
trying to change that message. Another, we have a sweatshirt that says authentic choices don't need validation, because the number of
Mhm.
times a student comes to us and says, will it look good if I take AP bio? If that is authentically connected to what you love and where you see yourself going, you don't need my validation to say that's a good choice, right?
Mhm.
If you're
Mhm.
making it for authentic reasons, that's good. So we're trying to also create
A
posters
culture.
and a
Yeah.
culture around, again, values and happy, healthy kids. And that is
Mhm.
where things like our blog posts, and we're just trying to reach people who are conditioned to think about it one way, to change the narrative and to think about it a different way.
and to reach people who want to help spread this message. I mean, we have some really cool gear that's in our store. Burn bright, not out. Like we'll say that to kids. Hey, burn bright, not out. Like, are you taking on too much?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I feel like it's not going to be hard for you guys to continue to spread your message and the resources that you've created, because it truly feels so aligned. I think for a lot of people, and for where we're at in the world, I think of just like really looking into things like, why is prestige so important in my own psyche, or in our family, and just having these opportunities to reflect a new perspective with almost a new goal in mind of, okay, yeah, I want to be educated and I want my degree to be respected. And I also really want to feel good about being true to me, like being authentic, making these choices. And so it just seems like you guys are doing a fantastic job with all the stuff that you've put together and the support that you're providing students with your questioning and just your opportunities you're creating to share and discover.
Thank you.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Yeah, for real. Is there anything else that we've missed today that like you want to make sure that we add in? I feel like we've hit a lot of beautiful things.
I just think keep asking questions is what we always tell students to. Keep exploring, and also know that arriving at your core values is not it's not a one-time thing. So we encourage students to do the card sort multiple times. Do it again when you're in college. I always encourage people to constantly be asking yourself, what is it that I value? How is that showing up in my life? And be open to making these micro adjustments to make sure that you're living a life aligned with those values, and they can change and morph over time, right? And I think that's really important for people to know.
Yeah, I also think that in education, we haven't, at least in my experience, done a lot of work around what do I value and who am I? Like, it's become a bit of a grind, right? So Jared and I recognized that when we were building this system and this process and built that in. So if you are a family and you're navigating this process on your own, you're like, my kid's not going to know what they value. We have families say that to us. And we're like, oh, hold on. They might know more than you think. But, if there's the case where they don't, we have that structure built in for families, activities, pre-activities to go through, think about like, who am I? And I think once most people sit down and really digest the pre-activities, they're like, oh yeah, you know what I do? I know what I value. It just might not have been on the tip of their tongue to begin with.
Yep.
Right. They needed the right prompts, the right space, the invitation to explore it. Beautiful. It's really funny because I feel like this goes, and you guys have hinted at this throughout the conversation, this goes beyond just the choice of college. This is really discovering your value system. And, I'm preparing to have my first baby with my wife, and,
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're about 6 months away right now. We're super excited. And through this process, there's so many decisions that need to be made. Right. And like decisions around what brand of diaper or what kind of diaper or this, that. And I realized sitting with that, it really comes down to the values that help to make a lot of those decisions easier. When you get in touch with your values, it's like, oh, I know what I'm aiming for now, because there's so many options. You said there's 4,000 colleges out there. Like, how do you narrow that down? This is a solution to that. And it's a solution to a lot of the confusion that can be created around decision making.
Yeah.
And I think that goes for the parents too. Like, as a soon to be parent, we're parents.
Yes.
So much of parenting is rooted in what you value, even if that's not the lens that you're looking at through. If you pause and you think it through, you're like, you know what? A lot of the choices I made for my family were rooted in what I value. And I'm passing those values along with the messages that I send. And so doing this card sort while your kids are in high school just continues that conversation and it helps gives that lens. It's like, what is the next step? What is the pathway forward?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys, Jen, Jared, once again, just like high praise for the work that you guys are doing and supporting kids and their families through these tough decisions, these fun decisions though at the same time. Like, I can tell that you guys probably bring like a lot of smiles to those spaces as well. So
we try.
Yeah. Well, truly, you guys, thank you so much for your time today. Forgettheranking.com.
Yeah,
Forget the rankings.
Forgettherankings.com. Awesome, you guys. And I'm sure you can find all the resources there. Thanks again, Jen and Jared. Really appreciate you guys.
Ben.
Thanks.